It turns out they're actually flying first class to Singapore for a luxury vacation with another woman, and the most painful part? They're funding their good time with money from the company that belongs to you, the wife. But karma, my friends, is very real. What happens when the wife finds out and freezes all their financial access while they're enjoying a fancy meal in a foreign country? Their laughter and joy quickly turn into tears of regret behind bars. Now, before we dive into this heart-wrenching tale of revenge, go ahead and show your support by smashing that like button, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. And as always, let's do a quick roll call. Drop your name and the city you're from in the comments below and type, "Here." I want to give a shout out to all my loyal friends who are ready to follow this incredible journey. Ready? Take a deep breath and let's get into the story. Story begins with soft, thoughtful music. Elena's face was etched with exhaustion that evening. The stacks of files on her desk seemed endless. As the owner of a rapidly growing fashion design house in New York City, she barely had a moment to catch her breath. But she poured every ounce of her energy into her work for one noble purpose: to provide a wonderful life for her small family, especially her husband, Ryan, and her mother-in-law, Sharon. Suddenly, the door to her lavish home office creaked open. Ryan walked in, his face contorted into a mask of deep concern he seemed eager to display. Trailing behind him, Sharon shuffled pitifully, clutching her chest as if fighting off immense pain. The performance, my dear friends, had begun. "Honey," Ryan said in a low, somber voice as he approached Elena's desk. "It's Mom. She's getting worse. The medicine from her doctor here just isn't working anymore. She almost collapsed in the bathroom again just now." Elena shot up from her chair, her fatigue instantly replaced by worry. She rushed over to her mother-in-law, helping her to a plush sofa in the corner of the room. She gently massaged the older woman's hand. "Sharon, why didn't you tell me you were feeling this bad? We're going to the hospital right now." Sharon shook her head weakly, her acting skills truly Oscar-worthy. "Oh no, Elena, don't trouble yourself. The doctors around here are no good. A friend from my church group told me about an amazing specialist up in the mountains, but the treatment is bound to be expensive. I wouldn't want to be a burden on you." Ryan jumped in quickly. "I want to take her there tomorrow morning, honey. It might take a week for the therapy and recovery, but you know how it is. My used car dealership has had a slow month. I feel ashamed asking you for money again." Elena's heart ached, seeing the pleading looks on their faces. Without a second thought, she walked back to her desk, unlocked a drawer, and pulled out a sleek, black credit card. It was the corporate card with the highest limit, reserved for urgent company expenses. "Ryan, use this," Elena said, placing the card in his hand. A flicker of greed flashed in Ryan's eyes before he masked it with a somber expression. "This is the company card, so please, be responsible with it," Elena instructed, her tone soft but firm. "Prioritize Mom's medical bills, a comfortable hotel for her recovery, and your meals while you're there. Please don't use it for anything unnecessary. The statements are sent directly to the company's auditors." Ryan nodded earnestly, gripping his wife's hand. "Thank you, honey. You're the most wonderful wife a man could ask for. I promise I'll take care of Mom and use this money wisely." Sharon pulled Elena into a hug that felt strangely cold, though Elena didn't notice it at the time. "Thank you, Elena. Please pray for my speedy recovery." The next morning, before the sun was even up, Ryan and Sharon were ready to leave. Elena, who had to prepare for a big day at the office, could only walk them to the front porch. She waved as their Uber disappeared down the street, a prayer in her heart for her mother-in-law's health. She had no idea that their departure was the beginning of the end for her marriage. JFK International Airport witnessed a startling transformation. The moment they were out of the car and certain no one they knew was around, Sharon's debilitating illness vanished. Her pained shuffle turned into a brisk, energetic walk. Ryan's worried frown morphed into a wide, triumphant grin. "Finally, free from that house!" Sharon exclaimed, adjusting her designer handbag. "I was so sick of pretending to be frail in front of your workaholic wife." "Patience, Mom. The important thing is that we have the magic card now," Ryan said, kissing the black card in his hand. "We can buy whatever we want in Singapore." They didn't go straight to their gate. Instead, They waited at a cafe near the International Departures Terminal. A few minutes later, a young woman with a flashy sense of style approached them. She wore a short, tight red dress, oversized sunglasses perched on her head, and was pulling a Louis Vuitton suitcase. This was Tiffany. "Babe!" Tiffany cooed, throwing her arms around Ryan's neck without any shame in the crowded airport. "Oh, look at my beautiful future daughter-in-law," Sharon praised, embracing Tiffany with a warmth far more genuine than the hug she'd given Elena that morning. "Are you ready for our vacation?" "You know it, Mom. I've already made a list of all the designer bags I'm going to buy on Orchard Road," Tiffany chirped. "Don't worry, I'll pick one out for you too, so you can look fabulous." Now that's what I'm talking about. A perfect daughter-in-law. Knows how to dress, fun to be around, not like Elena. So much money, but she has the style of a librarian. Always smells like spreadsheets. Too busy working to take care of her husband and mother-in-law, Sharon sneered with pure venom. Ryan laughed. "Come on, Mom. It's a good thing she works like a dog. Let her make the money so we can enjoy it. Besides, she's too naive. She actually thinks we're at some mountain clinic for treatment. She has no idea I booked these tickets to Singapore last week." "But Ryan, is the card good? Is the limit high enough for my shopping spree?" Tiffany asked, eyeing the card in his hand. "Don't you worry, Tiff. This card has a 6-figure limit. My foolish wife said to use it for emergencies." "Well, for us, luxury shopping and a 5-star vacation is an emergency," Ryan replied with a wink. The three of them burst into laughter, acting as if they owned the world. Without a shred of guilt, they strolled toward the international departure gate. Meanwhile, miles away in a sterile office building, Elena sat massaging her temples, pushing through project after project, believing her husband was fighting for his mother's health. She didn't know that the plane carrying her husband and mother-in-law wasn't heading toward a medical facility, but toward a shopping paradise, with another woman ready to feast on the fruits of her hard work. 2 days passed. The office was buzzing with activity. Elena had just finished a grueling monthly review meeting and returned to her office, hoping for a quiet moment and a call from her husband. Strangely, Ryan had been hard to reach. Whenever she called, it went straight to voicemail, and he'd reply with brief texts, "Bad signal here, honey. Mom's in therapy. Can't be disturbed." Elena tried to be understanding. Maybe the medical center had strict rules, but a wife's intuition is a powerful, undeniable force. Knock, knock, knock. The door opened gently. Sophie, Elena's personal assistant and trusted finance manager, walked in, her face pale. She was holding a tablet, and her hands were trembling. Sophie had been with Elena since the company was a tiny startup in a small rented space, so she knew the ins and outs of her boss's life. "Come in, Sophie. What is it? You look so tense. Is there a problem with our fabric supplier?" Elena asked, sipping her tea. Sophie didn't answer right away. She walked closer, standing before Elena's desk with visible hesitation. "Miss Elena, I'm so sorry. I have to report this because you asked me to monitor the corporate credit card Mr. Ryan is using." Elena put down her cup. "Yes? What's wrong? Did they hit the limit? I know the treatment must be expensive. If it's not enough, I can wire them some cash." "No, ma'am," Sophie's voice cracked. It's not that it's not enough. There are some transactions that are not right. Very, very not right." Sophie placed the tablet in front of Elena. The screen displayed the real-time transaction history from the bank. Elena's eyes narrowed as she read the lines. 3 first-class airline tickets. "Atta! To Singapore," Elena murmured, a deep frown forming on her forehead. "Singapore?" Ryan said they were going to a quiet mountain town for therapy. "And why 3 tickets? Who's the third person? A nurse?" Elena tried to think positively. Maybe the doctor made a last-minute referral to a specialist in Singapore. "You know my mother-in-law's health is the priority, Sophie." Sophie shook her head slowly, her eyes welling with tears for her kind-hearted boss. "Miss Elena, that's what I thought at first, too. But I was curious about the name on the third ticket. Her name is Tiffany. I looked her up on social media because the name seemed familiar. Mr. Ryan has liked some of her posts before." Elena's heart began to pound against her ribs. "Her Instagram account is public, ma'am. And..." She just posted a story 15 minutes ago. Sophie swiped the screen, opened Instagram, and tapped on a profile named Tiffany, Kitty. Elena's world stopped spinning as the 15-second video played. The screen showed the iconic, futuristic view of Singapore's gardens by the bay. The camera then panned to reveal the face of a beautiful young woman with heavy makeup, the same woman Elena had seen in her mind's eye, but now real on the screen. The woman smiled brightly before turning the camera to her side. There stood Ryan, her husband, the man who had left with a sad face 2 days ago. He was wearing designer sunglasses and a branded Hawaiian shirt, laughing freely as he wrapped his arm around the woman's waist. There was no trace of sadness or worry on his face. The camera shifted again, and Elena's heart shattered into a million pieces. Sharon was there. Her mother-in-law, who was supposedly gravely ill and needed help to walk, was now standing tall, holding a giant ice cream cone. Sharon waved cheerfully at the camera. The woman's voice in the video was crystal clear, piercing Elena's ears sharper than a dagger. "Hey guys, first day in Singapore. So happy to finally be on vacation with my future hubby and my amazing future mother-in-law. I'm so spoiled. Shopping till I drop. Thanks, babe." In the video, the woman kissed Ryan on the cheek, and he returned it with a loving smile. The video ended. The screen went dark, but a profound darkness had just enveloped Elena's heart. The room was silent except for the low hum of the air conditioner. Elena's hands trembled as she held the tablet. The tears didn't fall. Not yet. The pain was too deep, too shocking for tears. This wasn't just an affair. This was a calculated, cruel betrayal. The very people she protected and supported had conspired to lie to her, to steal from her, to laugh at her. "Ma'am?" Sophie whispered, terrified by her boss's stone-cold silence. Elena took a long, deep breath, trying to calm the storm raging in her chest. The image of Sharon clutching her heart and Ryan's face full of false promises was now replaced by the sight of two greedy faces, laughing at her expense. "They're healthy, Sophie." Elena's voice was chillingly calm, completely unlike her usual self. "Sharon is healthy. Ryan is happy. It turns out the only medicine they needed was my money and my absence." Elena stood and walked to the large window overlooking the bustling city street. She stared at her own reflection. A hard-working woman who had always put her family first, who had always yielded, now felt like the biggest fool in the world. "They thought I would never find out," Elena hissed softly. "They thought because I'm busy, I wouldn't check. They forgot. The money they're using to have fun. It's my sweat. My blood." She turned back to Sophie, her gaze now sharp and unforgiving. The naive, gentle wife was gone. "Sophie," Elena said, her voice laced with authority, "check all of today's transactions. What have they bought?" Sophie quickly pulled up the transaction history. "So much, ma'am. There's a recent charge at a Louis Vuitton store for over $3,500. Then there's a payment for a 5-star hotel, 2 suites for 5 nights. The total charge to the card in the last 2 days is already close to $15,000. Elena let out a bitter smile. $15,000. That was enough to cover the payroll for a dozen of her employees, and Ryan had spent it in 2 days on another woman and his fake sick mother. "Enough," Elena said. "Their little drama ends here." She sat back down in her chair. She wasn't crying anymore. Her sadness had metamorphosed into a cold, elegant fury. She picked up her phone, glanced at Ryan's profile picture in her contacts, and slammed it down on the desk. "Sophie, call the bank. Now. Should I have them block the card? Or just lower the limit, ma'am?" Sophie asked, wanting to be sure. Elena looked her assistant dead in the eye. "Block it. Block it completely. Report it as lost or stolen if you have to. I want to make sure not a single dollar can be spent on that card again. And while you're at it, freeze access to the joint account Ryan has." "Yes, ma'am. I'll do it right now," Sophie replied without hesitation, feeling a surge of anger on her boss's behalf. Elena leaned back in her chair, imagining what was about to happen in Singapore. Right now, they were probably laughing, picking out luxury goods, feeling like a king and queen. But in a few moments, their castle built on lies would come crashing down. "Enjoy your last vacation," Elena whispered into the silence of her office, "and welcome to a special kind of hell." Meanwhile, thousands of miles from New York, the Singapore sky was bright and clear, as if celebrating the false happiness of Ryan, Sharon, and Tiffany. The air on Orchard Road felt expensive and exclusive. The wide sidewalks, bustling with international tourists, became Tiffany's personal runway to show off her new lifestyle. Her arms were laden with shopping bags from Gucci, Prada, and Hermes. She strutted like a supermodel, flanked by a proud-looking Ryan and a beaming Sharon, who looked nothing like the frail, sick grandmother she had portrayed in New York. "Oh, Tiffany, that burgundy bag looks so elegant on you, dear. It perfectly matches your beautiful, fair skin," Sharon gushed, stroking the new purse Ryan had bought just 5 minutes earlier. Tiffany tossed her hair flirtatiously. "Of course, Mom. I have taste, unlike a certain someone back in the States. All that money, and her style is just so basic. She wears the same black tote bag everywhere." Sharon let out a shrill laugh, a sound that would have shattered Elena's heart. "Shh, don't say her name here. It's bad luck. That Elena is just cheap, Tiffany. She always says her money is tied up in the business or for employee salaries. Just excuses. The truth is, she doesn't want to spoil her husband and mother-in-law. But look at you. You've only been here a day and you already make me feel like a queen." Ryan put one arm around his mother's shoulder and held Tiffany's hand tightly with the other. "Just enjoy it, Mom. As long as this magic card is in my wallet, you can have anything you want. Elena won't dare get mad. She's too obsessed with me, too scared of losing me. She'll just close her eyes when the bill comes." "Ryan, you're the perfect husband," Tiffany squealed, planting a quick kiss on his cheek. "So, where to next, babe?" "I saw a jewelry boutique across the street with the most amazing diamond necklaces." "Let's go. We're buying out all of Singapore today," Ryan declared with overflowing confidence. He felt like an oil tycoon, completely oblivious that his crown was stolen from his own wife's kingdom. Back in New York, the mood was the polar opposite. In her quiet office, Elena stared at her phone screen as a relentless stream of text alerts from the bank lit it up, each one a bullet to her heart. "Purchase successful. $3,500 SGD at Gucci store. Purchase successful. $5,200 SGD at Louis Vuitton. Purchase successful. $800 SGD at Starbucks Reserve." Every notification chime represented her sweat and sacrifice. Elena remembered how often she'd stopped herself from buying a new pair of shoes so she could give her employees a bigger annual bonus. She remembered eating lunch at the cheap diner near her factory to cut down on operational costs. And now, the money she had guarded so responsibly was being burned through in a matter of hours by the very people who were supposed to protect her. Elena's tears finally fell, not for the money, but for the realization of how little she was worth in their eyes. She felt betrayed by the two people she respected most, the husband she leaned on, and the mother-in-law she had treated like her own mother. "Sincerity can't buy loyalty," she whispered, her voice breaking with a stifled sob. Just then, her office door opened again. Sophie rushed in. "Miss Elena," she reported, "the bank has processed the request. The block is being initiated by their central system. It might take another minute or two to be fully effective because it's an international transaction." Elena wiped her tears away harshly. She sat up straight, putting on the strong mask of a CEO once more. "Good, Sophie. Let them enjoy their last minute or two. It will be their last sweet memory before they come crashing down to earth." Back in Singapore, Ryan, Sharon, and Tiffany were standing in front of the window of a high-end jewelry store. Tiffany's eyes sparkled as she stared at a diamond necklace with a heart-shaped pendant glittering under the bright store lights. "Babe, that is gorgeous," Tiffany whined, pointing at the necklace. "If I wear that to Ashley's wedding, all my friends will be so jealous." "The price isn't cheap." $15,000, Singapore dollars, Ryan mumbled, reading the price tag. But his pride as a man being worshipped by a beautiful woman overrode his common sense. "Ah, that's nothing. Anything for my beautiful future wife." Sharon fanned the flames. "Just buy it, Ryan. Think of it as an investment. Better for it to be a diamond on Tiffany's neck than just numbers in a bank account that Elena is hoarding. Without another thought, they entered the store. A salesperson in a sharp suit greeted them warmly, noting their many shopping bags as a sign they were serious buyers. "I'll take the necklace from the window display," Ryan said with an air of arrogance, pulling out his wallet. He dramatically slid out Elena's black card, as if he were the true owner of its power. The salesperson swiftly retrieved the necklace. Tiffany immediately tried it on in front of a mirror. "Wow, Mom, look, it's perfect on me." "It's stunning, dear. It just brings out your glow," Sharon praised lavishly. "Okay, we'll take it." "Don't even bother boxing it up. She'll wear it out," Ryan said, handing the card to the salesperson. "Just swipe it." Ryan stood in a relaxed pose, one hand in his pocket, smiling at Tiffany as she admired her reflection. He imagined tonight would be a wonderful night at their 5-star hotel, celebrating their successful deception of Elena. He had no idea that across the ocean, Elena had just closed the book on their past and pressed the self-destruct button on his future. The salesperson inserted the card into the machine. Ryan waited for the familiar sound of the receipt printing, the sound that had become his favorite song over the past 2 days. But seconds ticked by, and the machine remained silent. Ryan was still smiling, Sharon was still laughing, Tiffany was still posing. They had no idea that their party, celebrated on the wounds of Elena, was officially over. The sky above them was still bright, but the real storm had just arrived at that very checkout counter. The salesperson stared at the machine's screen with a furrowed brow, then tried swiping the card one more time. A long, grating beep pierced the quiet of the high-end store. The indicator light on the machine blinked red, not the green Ryan was expecting. "I'm sorry, sir, the card has been declined," the salesperson said flatly, his friendly smile fading into a cool, professional gaze. Ryan let out a nervous chuckle, a forced laugh to hide his shock. "You must be kidding. Try it again. Maybe the magnetic strip is dirty, or your machine has a bad connection. That's a premium card with a 6-figure limit. There's no way it's declined." Tiffany, still admiring herself, turned with an annoyed look. "What's taking so long, babe? I'm getting hot in here. I want to go shoe shopping next." "Just a second, honey. Just a little machine error," Ryan said, trying to soothe her, though a cold sweat was starting to form on his forehead. The salesperson sighed but remained polite, though his tone grew firmer. "Sir, I have tried 3 times. The message is the same. Declined. Do not honor. This means the issuing bank has blocked the transaction. Please contact your bank or use another form of payment." Ryan's face went white. He felt the blood drain from his body. "Blocked? How is that possible? Elena has never blocked this card before, not even when I used it to buy a sports car last year under the guise of a company vehicle." "Don't be ridiculous," Sharon snapped, now offended. She marched up to the counter, acting superior. "Do you have any idea who my son is? He's a successful businessman. Don't you dare embarrass us like this. Get another machine." The salesperson was losing his patience. He placed the black card on the glass countertop with a soft thud. "Ma'am, the problem is not our machine, it's your card. If you cannot pay, please return the necklace. There are other customers waiting." Those words were a slap in the face to all 3 of them. A few other well-dressed shoppers began to turn and whisper. Their looks of admiration at Ryan's shopping bags had turned to looks of disdain. Tiffany panicked, clutching the necklace around her neck. "Ryan, what is going on? This is so embarrassing, everyone's staring. Just pay with another card." Ryan's hands trembled as he fumbled for his wallet. He pulled out his 2 personal debit cards, cards he rarely used because he always relied on Elena's money. With a sliver of hope, he handed one over. "Use this." The salesperson processed it. A moment of silence. Then, beep. "Insufficient funds," the clerk announced bluntly. Ryan tried his last card. The result was the same. Insufficient funds. Of course, there wasn't enough. His personal account had less than $200 in it, the last of the pocket money Elena had given him the week before. The necklace cost over $10,000. "Sir, ma'am." The salesperson's voice now sounded like a judge's verdict. "Please remove the necklace now, or I will have to call security." Tiffany's face flushed crimson with shame and rage. She violently unclasped the diamond necklace and slammed it onto the counter. "Whatever, this store is trash anyway," she muttered, though her heart was screaming for the sparkling object. The three of them scrambled out of the boutique, their steps hurried as if they were being chased. Sharon tried to hide her face with a fan, while Ryan kept his head down, avoiding the judgmental stares. The triumphant atmosphere they had felt just 10 minutes ago had vanished, replaced by a dark cloud of panic. They stopped at a park bench on the side of Orchard Road. The glamorous hustle and bustle of the city now felt suffocating. "What was that, Ryan?" Sharon immediately started blaming her son. "You said it was a magic card, so how could it be declined? I was so humiliated being yelled at by that clerk. How can I show my face?" "Were you lying, Ryan?" Tiffany accused, her eyes wide with fury. "Maybe you're not rich at all. You said Elena would never cut you off. You can't even get a single card to work. If I had known this, I never would have come on this stupid hot trip." "Both of you, just be quiet!" Ryan snapped, shocking them both. He had never raised his voice at Tiffany before. His breathing was heavy as he shakily pulled out his phone. "It must be a system error with the bank. Or maybe Elena forgot to pay the bill last month," he mumbled, trying to deny reality. He found my wife in his contacts and hit call. Beep, beep, click. The call was immediately disconnected. He tried again, this time through WhatsApp. Elena's beautiful profile picture was now a blank, gray silhouette. The message he sent showed only a single checkmark. "Blocked," Ryan whispered, his voice caught in his throat. The phone nearly slipped from his grasp. "Elena blocked my number. She blocked me on WhatsApp." Sharon's eyes widened in horror. "What do you mean, Ryan? Does she know we're here?" Ryan swallowed a lump in his throat that felt like gravel. "It looks like it, Mom." "She shut down the card. She blocked my number. We can't contact her." True panic began to set in. They were in a foreign country with almost no cash. Tiffany had already spent what little Ryan had on skincare at the airport. Their 5-star hotel wasn't fully paid for. They had planned to settle the bill at checkout with the now useless credit card. "So what about all my new stuff?" Tiffany asked, selfishly, oblivious to the gravity of their situation. "And where are we having dinner, Ryan? How much cash do you have left?" Ryan opened his wallet. It was empty except for a few Singapore dollar coins. "It's gone," he said weakly. "The last of it went to the taxi." "What?" Sharon and Tiffany shrieked in unison. The afternoon sky over Singapore began to turn a fiery orange, a warning sign of the danger to come. In the middle of the bustling metropolis, 3 greedy people stood frozen, finally realizing they were trapped in a cage of their own making. Their access to a life of luxury had been severed, and now they were just vagrants in designer clothes in a foreign land. The sun began to set, casting a gloomy twilight over Singapore. Ryan, Sharon, and Tiffany trudged back to their luxurious hotel, their steps heavy with dread. The laughter was gone. The public displays of affection had ceased. Their stomachs rumbled, a painful reminder of the hunger that had been growing since midday. The fantasy of a lavish seafood dinner by the bay had evaporated, replaced by crippling anxiety about their fate. Upon reaching the grand hotel lobby, Ryan tried to appear calm. He hoped the credit card issue was just a temporary glitch, or maybe it was only the jewelry store's machine that had a problem. He was sure the hotel wouldn't treat its VIP guests so poorly. "You two wait in the lobby. I'm just going to the front desk to get our keycards reactivated." "They weren't working in the elevator." Ryan lied, his heart pounding in his chest. Tiffany huffed and threw herself onto a lobby sofa. "Hurry up, Ryan. I want to take a shower. My feet are killing me in these heels." Ryan nodded nervously and approached the reception desk. A male clerk in a sharp suit greeted him, but there was no friendly smile on his face. His gaze was cold and probing. "Good evening, Mr. Thompson. We've been expecting you," the clerk said flatly. "Our system has detected that the credit card you used for the deposit and payment guarantee has been blocked by the issuing bank. Its status is now invalid." Ryan swallowed hard, another wave of cold sweat trickling down his back. "Oh, really? That must be a system error. I'll sort it out in the morning. For now, could you please reactivate my room keys? My mother is ill and needs to rest." The clerk shook his head firmly. I'm afraid not, sir. Our hotel has a very strict policy. As the bill for your 2 suites for the past 2 nights remains unpaid and your payment guarantee is void, we cannot allow you back into your rooms. We require full payment of the outstanding balance now, or you will have to vacate the premises. The clerk's voice was loud enough for other guests to hear. Sharon, sensing trouble, immediately walked over, followed by a scowling Tiffany. "What's the problem now? What's taking so long?" Sharon demanded impatiently. "They want us to pay now, Mom." "The card is completely dead," Ryan whispered, his voice trembling. "What?" Tiffany shrieked, her high-pitched voice echoing through the quiet lobby. She shoved Ryan aside and stormed up to the desk. "Hey, you can't be serious! All my things are in that room! My new designer bags, my clothes, my expensive skincare. I need to get them." "Excuse me, ma'am." A security guard, who had suddenly appeared behind them, cut in. His posture was imposing and intimidating. "Your belongings are being held as collateral until the entire bill is settled. You are not permitted to go upstairs." In that instant, Tiffany's sweet facade shattered, her pretty face twisted into an ugly mask of rage. She spun around to face Ryan, her eyes filled with a disgust he had never seen before. "You useless man!" she screamed directly in his face. "You said you were rich. You said you were a CEO. And what are you? You can't even pay for a hotel room. You're a liar, Ryan. You lied to me." Ryan was stunned. "Honey, please, lower your voice. We can talk about this. Just be patient. I'll try calling a friend." "Patient? Kiss my ass!" Tiffany spat on the floor, all etiquette forgotten. "I wasted my time coming here with you and your whiny mother, expecting to get showered with luxury gifts and have a great vacation. And now I'm a homeless person. If I'd known you were just a parasite living off your wife, I would have gone out with that old senator instead." Hearing this, Sharon flew into a rage, her imaginary high-class blood boiling. "Hey, watch your mouth, you little tramp! How dare you insult my son and me? Just a moment ago, you were calling me Mom and praising me to the sky." Tiffany laughed, a cynical, witch-like cackle. "Oh, shut up, you old hag. Get real. The two of you are exactly the same. Parasites. If it wasn't for your son's wife's money, you two would be worthless. I was respectful because I thought your wallets were fat. Now that they're empty, why should I be polite? You make me sick." The words hit Sharon harder than a physical blow. She clutched her chest this time. The pain was real. The woman she had praised, the one she called her ideal daughter-in-law for being stylish, was a venomous snake who only cared about money. She remembered Elena, the daughter-in-law she had always insulted as plain and cheap, who had never once raised her voice at her, even when she was being berated. "That's enough of this drama," the security guard said firmly. He signaled to his colleagues. 2 large security guards immediately escorted the 3 of them toward the hotel's revolving door. "Get your hands off me! I can walk by myself!" Tiffany yelled, struggling as they were pushed outside. They were thrown onto the sidewalk in front of the hotel. The automatic glass doors slid shut behind them, sealing off their access to the life they had just tasted. They stood on the street with only the clothes on their backs, without luggage, without shelter, and without a single penny. The Singapore night air began to feel cold. Ryan collapsed onto the pavement, running his hands through his hair in frustration. Sharon was sobbing uncontrollably, hunger and shame mixing into a toxic cocktail of despair. Meanwhile, Tiffany stood with her hands on her hips, glaring at Ryan with pure, unadulterated hatred. "Listen to me, Ryan," Tiffany hissed coldly. "We are done. Don't even think about talking to me ever again. You pathetic loser." Tiffany turned and began to walk away, though she herself had no idea where she was going. "Tiff, wait! Don't leave us!" Ryan called out weakly, trying to go after her. "We have to figure this out together." "Figure it out yourself with your mother," Tiffany yelled back without turning around. "I'm going to find a new target, one whose wallet is actually full, not an empty can making a lot of noise like you." Ryan froze, watching Tiffany's back disappear into the bustling night. His heart was crushed. The woman for whom he had betrayed Elena, the woman he had defended to his mother, had just thrown him away like trash the moment he became powerless. Beside him, Sharon whimpered softly. "Ryan, I'm hungry. I want to go home. I miss our house." Ryan looked at his mother with empty eyes. Home? Which home? The luxurious house they lived in belonged to Elena, and Elena had just slammed the door shut, forever. Surrounded by the dazzling lights of Singapore, Ryan finally understood just how dark his future had become. That night was the longest of Ryan and Sharon's lives. Singapore, known as a glamorous and pristine metropolis, now felt like a giant, cold prison. With no money, no passports which were in their luggage held by the hotel and nowhere to go, they were forced to wander the streets like homeless people. They found a secluded park bench near the Clark Quay area. The distant sounds of tourists enjoying dinner at riverside restaurants only tortured their empty stomachs more. Tiffany was still with them, but a vast, icy distance had formed between them. She sat at the far end of the bench, muttering to herself, her eyes darting around, looking for an escape. "Ryan," Tiffany said suddenly, her voice deceptively soft. "Let me borrow your phone for a second. Mine's dead. I just remembered an old friend of mine lives around here. Maybe she can help us. Give us a place to stay for the night." Ryan, who was massaging his mother's swollen feet, looked up with a glimmer of hope. "Really? You have a friend here? Please, call her. Mom is getting sick." Without suspicion, Ryan handed over his smartphone, the last valuable item he owned. It was the latest iPhone model, a birthday gift from Elena the month before. Tiffany snatched the phone quickly. "I'm just going to walk over there to get a better signal," she said, pointing toward the street. Ryan nodded weakly. "Okay, don't be long." Tiffany walked away 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. She glanced back once, saw Ryan tending to his moaning mother, and a sly grin spread across her face. Without another thought, she sprinted across the road, hailed a passing taxi, and vanished into the night. She had taken Ryan's phone, their last remaining asset and only means of communication. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Ryan started to get anxious. He stood up, searching for his girlfriend. "Where's Tiffany, Ryan? Why is she taking so long?" Sharon asked in a hoarse voice. Ryan ran to the spot where Tiffany had been standing. It was empty. His heart sank. He had been played for a fool a second time by the same woman. She had abandoned them, leaving them completely cut off from the world. "Tiffany!" Ryan screamed in frustration, his voice cracking in the night air, earning only strange looks from passers-by. He walked back to the bench, his shoulders slumped in defeat. When Sharon realized what had happened, she broke into hysterical sobs. "That devil woman. She ran off with your phone, Ryan. Now what do we do?" "I'm hungry, Ryan. I'm thirsty." "Just try to sleep, Mom." "In the morning, we'll find our way to the embassy," Ryan comforted her, though he had no idea where the embassy was or how they would get there without money or a map. They spent the night shivering, huddled together on the hard bench under the open sky. Mosquitoes and the cold night air tormented their skin, which was accustomed to air conditioning and soft mattresses. The next morning, the sun rose with a scorching heat. Sharon awoke in a terrible state. Her face was ashen, her lips were cracked and dry, and she was running a high fever. The fake illness she had performed in New York had become a brutal reality. "Water, Ryan." "I need water," Sharon moaned weakly, her body trembling from hypoglycemia and dehydration. Ryan was frantic. He checked all his pockets, hoping for a stray coin. Nothing. He was utterly broke. The gnawing hunger in his own stomach was making him dizzy and nauseous. He looked around. Across the street was a busy 24-hour convenience store. Through the glass doors, he could see rows of sandwiches, pastries, and ice-cold bottles of water. The aroma of coffee and baked goods seemed to call his name. His rational mind, eroded by the instinct to survive, began to shut down. He couldn't bear to watch his mother die on the streets of a foreign country. "Mom, wait here. I'll get us something to eat," he whispered. He smoothed down his wrinkled clothes, trying to look as normal as possible. He walked into the convenience store, the cool air a stark contrast to the oppressive heat outside. His heart hammered against his ribs. He pretended to browse the drink aisle, his hand shaking as he grabbed a bottle of water. He glanced at the cashier, who was busy with another customer. This was his chance. He quickly moved to the bread aisle, grabbed 2 chocolate-filled pastries, and clumsily stuffed them inside his jacket. A cold sweat poured down his temples. He felt as if every security camera in the store was locked on him. Get out! Get out now! His mind screamed. He walked toward the exit, his steps hurried, trying and failing to look casual. His anxious body language was a dead giveaway, just as his foot crossed the threshold of the automatic doors. Hey! You! Stop! A deep voice yelled from behind him. Ryan froze in shock, but instead of stopping, panic made him do the stupidest thing possible. He ran. Hey! Stop him! The female cashier shouted, pointing at him. Ryan sprinted across the sidewalk, hoping to reach his mother and escape with her. But he had forgotten he hadn't eaten in over a day. His legs felt like jelly. He didn't make it 10 yards before a large store security guard caught up to him. Thud. Ryan was shoved to the hot asphalt. The bottle of water and the stolen pastries tumbled out from his jacket, rolling pathetically onto the street. Please, my mother. My mother is sick. Hungry, Ryan pleaded in broken English, his face pressed against the pavement, his arms twisted behind his back. A crowd began to gather, filming the scene with their phones. Ryan, the once arrogant husband of a CEO, was now a public spectacle, a common thief. From a distance, Sharon saw her son being apprehended. She tried to stand up and scream, "Ryan, don't arrest my son! He's a rich man! He's not a thief!" But her voice was too weak, and her frail body finally gave out. She collapsed, unconscious, on the hard sidewalk. Ryan saw his mother fall. "Mom!" he screamed hysterically, struggling against the guard. The wail of a police siren grew closer, signaling the end of Ryan's freedom and the beginning of a new chapter of suffering behind bars. The clang of steel on steel echoed down the cold hallway, sealing Ryan's fate. The man who, just days ago, was sipping champagne in a first-class airplane seat was now huddled in the corner of a cramped, foul-smelling holding cell at a Singapore police station. Ryan stared at his dirty hands. The luxury watch was gone. All his personal belongings had been confiscated. He was wearing a faded orange jumpsuit, a stark contrast to the designer shirts he had proudly worn. "Mr. Thompson," a police officer said in fluent but firm English, standing on the other side of the bars holding a clipboard. Ryan scrambled to his feet, his face full of desperate hope. "Officer, please, help me. This is all a misunderstanding. I'm not a thief. I'm a businessman from New York. I have money. Well, my wife has money. Please, just let me call my wife." The officer gave him a flat stare. "We have already looked into your background. The hotel where you were staying has filed an official report against you for fraud and failure to pay a bill of several $1,000s. That, combined with your theft at the convenience store this morning, puts you in a very difficult position, sir." Ryan's knees buckled, and he slid back down to the floor. The hotel had reported him. It was over. He was truly trapped. "My mother. What about my mother?" he asked weakly, tears welling in his eyes as the image of her fainting on the sidewalk haunted him. "The elderly woman with you was taken by ambulance to Tan Tock Seng Hospital. Her condition is stable, but she is weak from severe dehydration and stress. She is currently in a general ward under the care of social services, as there is no one to act as her guarantor," the officer explained. Elsewhere, in a noisy and crowded hospital ward, Sharon woke up. The bright fluorescent lights blinded her. She tried to move, but her arm felt heavy. An IV line was taped to the back of her wrinkled hand. "Ryan? Ryan?" she called out hoarsely. A nurse approached her bed. "Ma'am, you're awake. Please try not to move too much. Your blood pressure is very low." Sharon looked around, confused. This wasn't the luxurious private room Elena always booked for her whenever she had a minor cold. This was a general ward, with beds on either side filled with other moaning patients. There was no TV, no comfortable air conditioning, just a slow-spinning fan on the ceiling. "Where is my son?" "Nurse, where is Ryan?" Sharon asked frantically. The nurse hesitated. "Your son is currently in the custody of the police, ma'am. Please, just focus on your recovery." Police. Sharon's eyes widened in horror as the memory of Ryan being dragged away flashed in her mind. She burst into tears, wailing her son's name so loudly that other patients stared in annoyance. Shame, fear, and regret churned inside her like a poison. She thought of Elena. The daughter-in-law she had called a jinx was the one who was always there, massaging her feet when she was sick, patiently feeding her. Now, when she truly needed help, she was utterly alone. Tiffany, her ideal daughter-in-law, was gone without a trace. Meanwhile, back in New York, the atmosphere in Elena's office was quiet but tense. The clock read 2 p.m. Elena was examining fabric samples for next year's spring collection when the phone on Sophie's desk rang. It wasn't a local call, it was international. Sophie answered. "Good afternoon, Elena Thorne's office." Her face grew serious as she listened. She jotted down notes, her hand trembling slightly. Yes, I understand. I will inform her immediately. Thank you for the information." Sophie hung up and looked at Elena with an unreadable expression, a mix of pity and a sense of relief that justice was finally being served. "Miss Elena," Sophie said softly. Elena looked up as if she already knew what was coming. "From Singapore?" Sophie nodded. "The Singapore Police Department. Mr. Ryan is being detained on charges of theft and hotel fraud. Mrs. Thompson has been hospitalized as an unidentified patient with no next of kin. They got our office number from Mr. Ryan's passport data when they were tracing his identity." Elena let out a long breath and leaned back in her executive chair. She closed her eyes for a moment. There was no triumphant smile on her face. No matter what they had done, hearing that people she once loved had fallen so low still left an ache in her conscience. "They are requesting a family representative or a consular official to come, ma'am. Otherwise, Mr. Ryan will be prosecuted without legal counsel, and Mrs. Thompson will be handed over to their social services department once she recovers," Sophie continued. Elena opened her eyes. Her gaze was now sharp and full of determination. "Contact Mr. Harris, our lawyer. Tell him to prepare the divorce papers and all the legal documents related to the misuse of company assets." "Are we going there, ma'am?" Sophie asked. "Yes, we're going. First flight out tomorrow morning," Elena replied, standing and walking to the window to look at the overcast New York sky. "But understand one thing, Sophie," she continued, her voice as cold as ice. "I am not going there as a wife to bail out her husband. I am going there as a CEO to demand accountability for corporate losses and as a human being to bring an elderly woman back to her home country." "Understood, ma'am. I'll book the tickets for you, Mr. Harris, and myself," Sophie said promptly. Elena stared at her reflection in the glass. The weak woman who always bent to the will of her husband and mother-in-law was gone. In her place stood a new Elena. "Just hold on a little longer, Ryan." "Mom," Elena murmured, "I'm coming. But my arrival isn't to save you from your punishment. It's to ensure you face the consequences of your own greed." Across the ocean, in a cold jail cell, Ryan hugged his knees, his stomach burned with hunger. He imagined Elena's face. He used to complain that her cooking was never salty enough or spicy enough. Now, he would give anything for a plate of her warm, homemade pasta. Regret always comes too late, and this time, it came with an impossibly high price. Changi Airport welcomed Elena's arrival with the same bustling energy as it had for Ryan and Sharon days earlier, but this time, the aura was different. Elena walked through the arrivals terminal with a confident stride, dressed in an elegant black blazer. On her left, Sophie carried a briefcase of documents, and on her right, Mr. Harris, a stern-faced senior lawyer, walked with an air of authority. There were no vacation smiles. Their mission was clear: to clean up a mess, not to save the culprits. "Should we go to the hospital first, Miss Thorne?" Mr. Harris asked as they settled into a hired car. Elena nodded, gazing at the immaculate Singaporean streets. "Yes. Regardless of everything, she is an elderly woman. I want to confirm her condition before I face her son." The drive to the hospital was silent. Elena twisted the wedding ring on her finger, a piece of metal that now felt foreign and painful. She took a deep breath, slowly slid the ring off, and dropped it into her purse. In that moment, she was no longer Ryan's wife. She was Elena Thorne, a woman standing on her own 2 feet. At the hospital, they were led to the general ward. There, in a bed near the end of the row, lay an old woman who looked far older than her years. Her hair was a mess, her face was gaunt, and her eyes stared blankly at the ceiling. "Sharon," Elena said softly. The woman turned her head slowly, The moment she saw Elena, tears streamed down her face, not the crocodile tears of her past performances, but tears of pure, unadulterated fear. "Elena! Oh, thank God, Elena, you came!" Sharon sobbed, trying to sit up, but her body was too weak. She reached a trembling hand toward Elena. "I'm so scared here, Elena. The people are so mean. The food is bland. Please, take me home, dear. I promise I'll be good to you. I'm so sorry." Elena didn't embrace her as she once would have. She took her mother-in-law's hand for a brief, polite moment, then let it go. "Rest, Sharon. I've already settled all of your hospital bills." "Oh, thank you, Elena. You truly are the best daughter-in-law. That Tiffany is a demon. She abandoned me on the street. She insulted me. You're the only one who cares," Sharon rambled, trying to gain sympathy by villainizing Tiffany. Elena looked her mother-in-law dead in the eye. "I paid your bill not because I'm the best daughter-in-law, but because I still have a human conscience. I couldn't leave an elderly woman stranded in a foreign country, even if that woman conspired to deceive me." Sharon fell silent, her mouth snapping shut. She felt a chill spread from Elena's words. "Sophie has arranged your flight home. The day after tomorrow, once the doctor clears you, you will be escorted back to the United States. But I want to make one thing clear." Elena paused, making Sharon's heart pound with dread. "You will not be returning to my house. That house is mine. I have arranged for a comfortable private suite for you at a very nice assisted living facility in upstate New York." "Assisted living?" Sharon shrieked, horrified. "You're throwing me away? I'm your mother-in-law, Elena." "I am not throwing you away. I am providing you with proper housing and care. But I can no longer live under the same roof as someone who stabbed me in the back. My decision is final," Elena stated firmly, then turned to leave. "Sophie will stay with you for a little while. I have to go to the police station to see your son." Without a backward glance at Sharon's hysterical crying, Elena walked away. Her heart ached, but she knew she had to set this boundary for her own sanity. Next stop, the police station. The atmosphere in the visitor's room was even more grim. Elena sat on a cold metal chair, flanked by Mr. Harris. A door on the opposite side opened, and Ryan was escorted in by 2 officers. He was a pathetic sight. His face was sallow, his eyes were swollen, and he looked thinner. The moment he saw Elena, his eyes lit up. He thought she was here to save him, as always. "Honey!" he exclaimed, lunging forward for a hug, but an officer held him back. He sat down across the table, breathing heavily. "Honey, I knew you'd come. Please, post my bail." "I can't take it here. The food is disgusting. I have to sleep on the floor. Let's just go home. I miss home." Elena looked at the man before her, her expression blank. There was no love left, only a mixture of pity and revulsion. "Do not call me that, Mr. Thompson," she cut in coldly. Ryan was taken aback. "Mr. Thompson? Why are you calling me that? I'm your husband, Elena. I made a mistake. It was all Tiffany's fault. She seduced me. She forced me to come here. I didn't want to, honey. I'm the victim here." Elena shook her head slowly, disgusted by his pathetic excuse. She signaled to Mr. Harris. The lawyer opened his briefcase, pulled out a thick red folder, and placed it on the table in front of Ryan. "Mr. Thompson." Mr. Harris's voice was deep and intimidating. "Miss Thorne's presence here is not to post your bail or to absolve you of your legal troubles in Singapore. The charges of theft and hotel fraud are your personal responsibility." "What do you mean?" Ryan asked, confused, as cold sweat began to bead on his forehead. "Then why is she here?" "Miss Thorne is here representing her company," Mr. Harris continued. "This folder contains the official legal complaint against you for embezzlement of company funds. We have compiled evidence of wire transfers, the misuse of the corporate credit card for personal gain, and the falsification of financial reports that you've been committing for the last year. The total damages to the company amount to over $2 million. Ryan's eyes bulged. $2 million? "Elena, are you trying to put your own husband in prison?" Elena finally spoke, her voice calm but razor-sharp. "That money belongs to my employees, Ryan. It's the right of hundreds of people who work day and night. You used it to party with another woman. Did you really think I would do nothing?" "But I'm your husband. Your assets are my assets," Ryan yelled in desperation. "Wrong," Elena replied swiftly. The company was mine long before we were married. You signed a prenuptial agreement. You must have forgotten to read the fine print because you were too busy imagining the easy life." Mr. Harris slid another document across the table. "And this is the divorce petition. Miss Thorne filed it in New York this morning. You can read it at your leisure in your cell." Ryan began to tremble violently. He looked at Elena, searching for any trace of love in her eyes, but found only an impenetrable wall. "Elena, please!" His voice dropped to a hoarse whisper. "Don't do this. If I go to prison here and then face charges back home, my life will be over. Elena, I'm begging you. I'll kiss your feet." Elena stood up slowly, smoothing her blazer. "Your life is over not because of me, Ryan, but because of your own choices. Enjoy your time off here. Think of it as that long vacation you always wanted." "Let's go, Mr. Harris. Our business here is done," Elena said. As they walked toward the door, Ryan's agonizing screams echoed through the room. "Elena! Don't leave me! Elena!" His voice was cut off as the guards dragged him back to his cell. Elena kept walking, her head held high. A single tear traced a path down her cheek and fell onto the cold floor of the police station. She didn't look back. Each step was heavy, but each step took her further away from a painful past and toward a future that, while lonely for now, was at least free of lies. Days crawled by behind the concrete walls of Changi Prison. For Ryan, time stood still. There were no phone calls, no social media notifications, and most torturous of all, no comfort. The food was bland and the portions small, a world away from Elena's home cooking, which he used to criticize. Now he would trade anything for a single plate of her warm pasta. In the damp corner of his cell, he would sit and brood, the image of Tiffany abandoning him replaying in his mind, a punishment far crueler than any physical sentence. "Stupid! I was so stupid," he would mutter, banging his head against the wall. He had traded a diamond, a loyal, brilliant, and loving wife for a worthless piece of rock. He lost the woman who loved him for who he was, for a woman who only loved the contents of his wallet. Meanwhile, a plane carrying Sharon and Sophie landed at JFK. Pushed in a wheelchair by an airport attendant, Sharon looked frail, but her eyes darted nervously through the crowd, searching for Elena. "Where's Elena? Isn't she here to pick me up?" she asked Sophie curtly, her tone still laced with an unearned arrogance. "Miss Thorne is busy with a company audit, ma'am. I've been assigned to escort you to your destination," Sophie replied politely but distantly. They got into a company car. As they navigated the New York traffic, Sharon chattered on, trying to deny her terrifying new reality. "Tell Elena I want the downstairs bedroom. My legs are still too sore for the stairs. And tell the housekeeper to make a simple soup and some grilled chicken. I don't have much of an appetite for anything greasy." The car, however, didn't head toward Elena's upscale neighborhood. Instead, it turned toward a quieter, more secluded area upstate. "Hey, where are we going?" "This isn't the way home," Sharon protested, her hand gripping the door handle in panic. "We're almost there, ma'am," Sophie said flatly. A few minutes later, the car pulled up to a large gate with a sign that read, "The Willow Creek Senior Residence." The building was clean and well-maintained, with beautiful gardens, but it was unmistakably an assisted living facility. Sharon's eyes widened in horror. "What is this? Why did you bring me here? I have a home. My son has a luxurious home. Is Elena insane?" Sophie turned to face her. "I'm sorry, ma'am. That house belongs to Miss Thorne, not to Mr. Ryan, and certainly not to you. As she informed you in Singapore, you are no longer welcome there. Miss Thorne has paid for a VIP suite for you here for 1 full year. You'll have 24-hour nursing care, companions your own age, and all your meals provided." "No, I won't do it!" Sharon screamed. "Take me to Elena. I need to talk to her. She can't treat me like this." "I'm her mother-in-law." 2 nurses in crisp white uniforms emerged from the building. Sophie opened the car door. "Please, ma'am, don't make this more difficult. Miss Thorne has been incredibly generous by not pressing charges against you for your role in this. This is the best option. Mr. Ryan is in prison and won't be home for a very long time. And the old house your late husband left you? Mr. Ryan sold it last year to fund his lifestyle, didn't he?" The hard truth silenced Sharon. She remembered. Without Elena, she was a homeless old woman. In a torrent of tears, Sharon was helped from the car into a wheelchair. She watched as the company car drove away, the facility gates closing behind it, sealing her off from the life of comfort she had taken for granted. She was now destined to live out her days in loneliness, haunted by the regret of throwing away a diamond for a handful of dust. Back at the now spacious and quiet house, Elena stood in her master bedroom. On the floor were piles of Ryan's expensive clothes, designer suits, and other luxuries bought with her money. With a calm, serene expression, she packed everything into large cardboard boxes. "City," she called to her housekeeper, "please take all of these boxes and donate them. To a shelter, a charity, I don't care. I just want every last trace of him gone from this room by sunset." "Yes, ma'am. What about the large wedding portrait in the living room?" Elena walked to the living room. On the main wall hung a massive, ornate photo of her and Ryan on their wedding day, smiling blissfully. It was once her pride and joy. Now, it was a monument to a lie. She took the heavy frame down herself. "Take the photo out and throw it away," she said, flipping the frame over to hide their faces. "Keep the frame. It's expensive. It can be used for a beautiful landscape painting, something far more peaceful." That night, Elena sat alone on her balcony, sipping tea. The house was silent. The quiet, once unnerving, now felt like a comforting peace. She had lost a husband and a mother-in-law, but under the same sky that covered Ryan's prison and Sharon's new residence, Elena felt she had finally found herself again, the strong, worthy, and free woman who had been lost for so long. 3 months passed. The gavel fell in a New York City courtroom. "The court grants the plaintiff's petition in its entirety. A divorce is hereby granted," the judge declared. Elena exhaled a breath she felt she'd been holding for years. The defendant's chair was empty. That same afternoon, Ryan landed at JFK, deported from Singapore. He scanned the crowd, naively hoping to see Elena waiting for him. Instead, he was met by 2 police officers. "Ryan Thompson?" one said. "You're under arrest for embezzlement and corporate fraud." His world collapsed for the second time. As he was led away in handcuffs, he was just another spectacle at the airport where his downfall had begun. In a quiet room at the Willow Creek residence, Sharon sat in her wheelchair, looking at the latest issue of a business magazine. On the cover was Elena, smiling gracefully, holding an award for Businesswoman of the Year. Sharon caressed the photo, tears of regret streaming down her face. "My dear Elena," she whispered to the empty room, "I'm so sorry." At that very moment, in the VIP lounge at JFK, Elena sat peacefully, sipping a latte. A first-class ticket to Paris lay on the table beside her. She was on her way to Paris Fashion Week to expand her company into the European market. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sophie. "He's been arrested. The legal process is moving forward." She typed a simple reply. "Thank you. See to it that justice is served." She stood up and walked toward her gate, her steps light and sure. The setting sun illuminated the plane that would carry her to her new life. Elena smiled, a genuine smile from a heart that had finally healed. "Goodbye, past," she murmured, stepping confidently toward a future that was hers and hers alone. "I deserve to be happy." The plane took off, soaring high above the wreckage of the lives Ryan and Sharon had destroyed, a poignant lesson that karma never, ever misses its address. Never trade someone who genuinely loves you for the fleeting thrill of deception. Loyalty and sincerity are priceless treasures. Once shattered, no amount of wealth in the world